not religious, but I believe in God. Okay, well, do you believe in the devil? Most people will say no. But do you believe in evil acts? Well, yeah, well, people certainly do evil things. Well, where do you think that comes from?
They say the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. But what if the devil isn't some mythical figure with horns and fire? What if he's throwing parties in the Hollywood Hills? What if the evil we imagine is actually hidden in plain sight, behind velvet ropes, inside billion-dollar mansions, and protected by fame, money, and silence? Because when you start digging into the secrets of P. Diddy, Jeffrey Epstein, Vince McMahon, and others, you begin to see patterns, disturbing ones that suggest something far darker is happening beneath the surface of power and fame. You ever walk into a place and feel like something terrible happened there, even if no one says a word? That's how people describe being in Diddy's house. Not just eerie, but downright wrong. Like the walls are holding secrets that no one dares speak out loud. For years, Diddy's legendary white parties were the hottest invite in town. Celebs lined up, cameras flashed, but behind the champagne and silk dress codes were whispers of manipulation, control, and cameras everywhere. Cameras in bedrooms, in bathrooms, hidden, watching, recording, and then thousands of bottles of baby oil? Who needs that? What was really happening in those rooms? The rumors go even deeper. Some guests say drinks were being laced with tranquilizers, ketamine, horse tranquilizer, champagne with a sinister twist. And once someone took a sip, they'd loosen up. They'd do things they'd never do sober, and cameras would be rolling the whole time. According to stories shared on podcasts and behind closed doors, this wasn't a party, this was a trap, and no one knew until it was too late. It wasn't just about fun, it was about control, about compromise, about owning people forever. And here's where it gets really messy. The people who knew but stayed quiet. Jennifer Lopez dated Diddy for years. Now she's front and center in politics, warning people about who not to trust. But ask yourself, how many warnings did she give about Diddy? 0. Why? Why do so many powerful women speak out about dangerous men, but never mention the ones they actually dated? The ones who threw these parties, who held these secrets? Because silence keeps the machine running, and the minute you speak out, you risk being next.
That's their thing. Like their thing is to do something that is horrible, and it's not available to other people. So it's like, I think and then well, what else can I do? What else can I do? What else is what else is taboo? What else is?
There's a chilling theory floating around that Diddy didn't just throw parties, he filmed them. That he created compromising situations, got it all on tape, and used that footage to control people, politicians, celebrities, executives. And it worked. No one dared cross him. No one dared say no. And if they did, well, they'd never work in this town again. Sound familiar? That's the same playbook Epstein used. Build a blackmail empire, keep the secrets, rule in silence. It used to be crazy to say there were pedophile rings in Hollywood. But then came the Nickelodeon scandals, the BBC cover-ups, Jimmy Savile, who molested hundreds while the world cheered him on. And every time one of these monsters is exposed, we're told it was an isolated case. But what if it's not? What if these men are part of a system, one that rewards silence, punishes whistleblowers, and feeds off taboo? What if there really is something evil at the top? People say, why didn't anyone stop it? But the truth is, they were scared. Scared of losing everything. Scared of being exposed. Scared of winding up like others who mysteriously disappeared or were discredited. And what about the kids? They fed him kids, someone whispered on that podcast. Think about that. Think about what kind of sick, twisted world would allow someone to abuse children while being protected by the industry that profits off him. And think about the people who made that possible by doing nothing. Let's talk about Ghislaine Maxwell. She was convicted of trafficking minors, but here's the question no one wants to answer. To who? You can't traffic victims without buyers. So where's the list? The flight logs exist. The guest lists exist. The photos exist. But there's no investigation, no charges, no trials. Why? Because if those names came out, entire empires would fall.
Forbidden. Like all this Diddy shit that's coming out.
It does feel that way, actually.
Yeah.
And just when you think things can't get more disturbing, you hear what Vince McMahon is accused of doing. During a company-organized threesome, he allegedly defecated on a woman's head, walked out to take a shower, and told his friend to finish up with her while she was still covered in human waste. Yes, you heard that right. And this wasn't a joke. It was written in legal filings, multiple accusations, millions in hush money, a legacy built on exploitation, humiliation, and perversion. But no one talks about it. Why? Because people don't want to admit just how sick some of these elites really are. For years, people laughed at Alex Jones, mocked Cat Williams, called Kanye crazy. But now, the stories are surfacing. The receipts are coming out. The parties, the tapes, the lists. It's no longer conspiracy. It's just news. And 2025, it's the year the floodgates opened. One by one, the dominoes are falling. And suddenly, everyone is wondering the same thing. Who's next? So let's ask the question nobody wants to ask. Do you believe in evil? Not just bad people, but actual evil. The kind that hides behind smiles, Grammy Awards, and charity foundations. The kind that gets invited to the White House, walks red carpets, and signs million-dollar contracts. Because if evil is real, maybe it wears a suit, maybe it has a fan base, maybe it runs record labels, and maybe it's been laughing at us the whole time. Fame isn't free. In Hollywood, power isn't just about talent or hustle, it's about what you're willing to do, and more importantly, what you're willing to stay quiet about. Silence is the real currency in the entertainment industry. That's why the same faces keep rising, while others mysteriously vanish or spiral into public breakdowns. They weren't weak, they were trapped. Stories have surfaced about stars who tried to speak out, only to get blackballed, sued, or hospitalized. Some ended up broke, some ended up gone. And every time someone goes off the rails, the media runs the same script: mental health issues. But maybe that's just the cover story. Because once you say no to the wrong people, your name's already on the list. Here's the final gut punch. This isn't about one man. Not Diddy, not Epstein, not McMahon. It's about a system. One that's been built over decades to protect the powerful and punish the vulnerable. One that launders its darkness through glitz and glamour. And the moment someone gets too close to the truth, boom, they're dismissed, discredited, or worse. And that's what makes all of this so terrifying. Because if the people at the top are connected and the ones trying to speak are silenced, then how much evil has already been erased? How many victims have never been heard? How many stories were buried before they could ever break through?
Like that. I think he's a gangster who made $1 billion and knew how to control people by compromising them. That's what I think. Whether or not he had help.
Why do stories like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trend for months, while bombshell accusations involving trafficking, abuse, and government ties get buried in a single news cycle? It's not just bad journalism, it's intentional distraction. They want you glued to drama that feels scandalous but ultimately changes nothing. Meanwhile, the real monsters operate in the background, untouched, unseen, and protected by PR machines that spin the narrative before it ever reaches your screen. Hollywood doesn't just entertain, it programs. It floods your feed with trending topics and fake beefs, while quietly blacklisting anyone who dares to question what's really going on. And if you don't look closely, you'll never realize the outrage was manufactured to keep your eyes off the truth. Think about it. The so-called conspiracy theorists, Alex Jones, Kanye, Cat Williams, weren't always ranting. They were reacting to things they saw, things they lived. And when they started speaking, the backlash was instant. Why? Because the truth, when it's ugly, gets labeled dangerous, delusional, insane, until the headlines catch up. But what if they weren't crazy? What if they were just early? What if the insane things they warned us about, the baby oil, the blackmail tapes, the child exploitation, the demonic rituals, weren't exaggerations, but whispers of reality?